No, please, no, please, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to speak to you, to many important people, to many young people that usually are demanding people. No? The issue that they ask me to speak about is sustainability. But the first question I put to myself is, what does sustainability mean? This is because when I was young, I studied a little German literature, and I was impressed by a statement of Rainer Maria Rilke that said, if I would know more words, I would understand more things. This is the point that sometimes we assume that we put the same meaning in the words that we mention, but maybe our counterpart put another meaning in the same word. So, from this point of view, what is the meaning of the word sustainability? The word sustainability can have different meanings depending on the parties involved. If they are economics, philosopher, politician, firms, or religious, maybe today's anniversary let us think that a moral meaning of this word could be the most important one. Freedom could be the meaning for sustainability today in Berlin. The most famous definition of sustainability was given by Barnard Commission in 1987. According to this definition, development is sustainable if it meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The subject is very complex and deeply debated. The only scientific collaboration that we have seen so far was between the philosopher and the economists. However, they still have difficulties in understanding each other. One of the most debated themes between economists and philosophers is sustainability in terms of population. Considering both the economic and the philosophical perspective, we still come to identify two different issues: the optimal population size and the intergenerational justice. Furthermore, not only the overall size of population is key for determining the sustainability, but also its geographical and qualitative composition. In a nutshell, the inverse correlation between levels of education and fertility. Who are the players in charge of the future social and economic development? Intellectuals, who have to give an answer to many unresolved dilemmas, such as how to optimize the use of resources, descending altruism, demographic planning, and so on. Government's accountability. It has the politicians that are in charge of developing the welfare rules. Key players of the economy, firms. The role of the firms, that maybe is my experience. Talking about firms, they play an important role in the development of sustainability, how the economies can continue to grow while confronted to limited natural and financial resources, as well as legal and environmental constraints. I mean the viability theory. This opens up the economic dilemma of maximizing results either in the short or long term. The literature on the subject agrees that such a growth possibility is based on the ability to maintain a permanent stream of innovation, assuring long-term technological progress. In other words, it highlights the key role of R&D. Regulation and economic efficiency are constraints driving firms in opposite direction. The case is very famous, I suppose all of you know the case study of the Japanese industry producing the chlor-alkali. If I can mention, 50 years ago in the 60s, this industry, especially very important in Japan, was based on a process that made a massive use of a toxic substance, mercury. No? At the beginning of 70s, the Japanese authorities started to impose industry to limitate mercury in their industrial process. So the Japanese industries started with a big program of research in order to develop a new process. After many years and after big investment, they started with a new process that was still based on electrolytic system, but without mercury. But they, at that time, discovered how this new process was so expensive in terms of consumption of energy that in the meantime increased the prices. So they had to start again for 10 years in order to find another process that was both respecting the environment and with a low consumption of energy. This is a case of the problem in order to balance environmental issues and economic issues. Indeed, the correlation between resources scarcity and innovation, as well as the relationship between regulation and economic behavior, is widely recognized. Scarce resources are increasingly expensive, and this affects the behavior of firms and consumers and shapes the path of technological progress, which needs also to satisfy the environmental constraints. Talking about environment, it's worth observing that the mere regulatory action is neither effective nor sufficient to protect the environment. At this point, a new important player enters into action: people, who need to develop a civic consciousness with the aim to impose to others a more responsible attitude towards the environment. As a matter of fact, it has been said you can't legislate morality. In this regard, fortunately, we can observe how wiser our younger generation, since they have absorbed the message from intellectuals. As far as the powerful technological tool is concerned, on one hand, is essential for solving industrial problems, such as in the example I mentioned earlier. On the other hand, it poses the problems of the jobs reduction, which is an element of weakness in the welfare state. Throughout the history of the industry, the great technological innovation of the past have resulted in the immediate loss of jobs. But, however, in the past, these loss of jobs were soon replaced by new business initiatives as a result of the economy's development triggered by the new technologies. Conversely, this is a problem maybe today, in recent decades, scientific and technical revolutions have caused greater loss of jobs than those created. This phenomenon is likely due to the acceleration of technological development occurred in the last century, which has not had enough time to bear fruit. I hope so, but today this is a big problem. But I would like to pause for a moment. These are matters that I can just tell because their theoretical development should be left to economists and philosophers. What I can report here today is just a smaller point of view. Given my experience in a company where the manufacturing is a key factor in the value chain, I don't know if we can show some pictures in order to show what is Prada. Prada is an Italian international company listed in Hong Kong with a total turnover of 3.5 billion euro per year that we realize all over the world. No? Roughly speaking, 1.5 billion in Europe, 1.5 billion in Asia, and the rest both in 500 million, a little less, in Americas, and 350 million in Japan, that I don't include in Asia Pacific, as normally firms consider Japan something different continent. It's not true, but this is the habit. And what we produce and what we sell are luxury goods that we produce and distribute directly all over the world. So we are in international firms, not enormous, not so little. In our sector we are big enough. But in this regard, energy and environmental issues are not serious constraints for a sector like luxury, except for the possibility to recover energy in our, let me say, factories that are not energy consuming, but we can do something, and we can do something in terms of environment because we can manage our production and our products in terms of recovery, chemicals product for fabrics, for instance. But this is not the main concern or a big problem for such an industry that we are. No? Is rather more relevant the issue of demography for us. What I mean? I'm referring to the change in geographic and qualitative distribution of population that implies the loss of manufacturing capabilities in Western countries, also caused by demographic stagnation and by cultural development of the society in Western countries. Activities with low operating margins have been progressively transferred to developing countries, but this social phenomenon has recently expanded. And you know that is continuing the outsourcing to third part of the world, no, for this kind of activities. Maybe it's not a big problem for luxury goods company, but is a big problem for apparel industry, for mass product. And this could be an advantage for poor countries, but it could be a problem for Western countries. So the alternative is outsource or invest. As a consequence, firms may decide to outsource these activities or alternatively invest in improving the technology, so as paving the way for maintaining tight control over the value chain. What does it mean? R&D can certainly help improving productivity and thus partially offsetting the higher cost of labor of developed countries. However, this kind of manufacturing activities with high craftsmanship content are by definition labor intensive. For this reason, in order to recover competitiveness, you need other key factors: the quality of products, higher value of products, the educational plans in terms of school orientation and training programs for young people. But again, a cultural approach is in this case very important, putting more emphasis on the recovery of dignity and value to this type of work, which in the recent past has been relegated to the rule of material function. I think that at the end of the day, my conclusion is sustainability is a question of culture. No? The example of my sector is just a little one, but is important to agree that a new culture can help the sustainability and the intergenerational justice for the new generation. If you have in mind this main point for our future, we can manage both in terms of let me say, recovery of resources, both in terms of respect on the environment, both in terms of respect of people, of their freedom, of their dignity, in order to establish programs by the firms, by the government. I don't agree. Very often people think that in Italy there are a lot of very clever entrepreneurs, but politicians are not so fair. I don't agree. In Italy the problem is culture, both for firms, both for politicians. If we agree a deeper consciousness about the responsibility of everybody, we can develop our skill. But I can just hope then everyone could put in place his best effort in order to plan the future. What we are doing, but again is a very little example regarding this point, is a mind more international, considering the habit of other countries, considering the culture of the other countries, and we are planning from this point of view an hiring program of new employees from everywhere in the world. We are planning to establish a school in Italy for the training of young people in manufacturing, because I think that, of course, the normal transfer of some activities from countries to other countries is not possible to, let me say, to avoid, because this is the history of the industry in the past centuries. But we have to avoid to destroy knowledge, to destroy the know-how of some countries, like in Italy, for the manufacturing, for the design. Of course, we have to improve the quality of our activities, and from this point of view, we have to, let me say, sustain the tradition of our people, of our work. This is what I can say to you. If there is some question, some curiosity regarding a very peculiar activity like Prada activity, I am here and I'm very happy to answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mazzi. Unfortunately, I think the presentation is not running, but we are very happy that you allow the auditorium to ask some questions. Are there some questions or remarks? It's yes, over there.
So, I believe in the industry is...
Could you please introduce
the microphone. Oh, hello, I'm Nancy Padot, and I have a question with regard to, we have the same problem in New York and the United States, and that is both culturally and the evolution of this knowledge in producing products. So please tell us more about this school that you are establishing and how this will be integrated and used, because it's a long-term project, I think.
Yes, it is. But let me say that in US, you started already with a new develop in manufacturing activity inside in your country, no? And this is also an inspiration for us, no? To study how to maintain in our country. This is not, let me say, a competition of new countries. Absolutely not. It's a question to define and to divide, no, the different phase of the process. No? What can the developed countries maintain inside, of course? No? The high value phase of the, because their costs are higher by definition. Having said that, our school that we are planning to establish next year is a school in Tuscany, where there is the tradition of leather goods production. And we are planning to guest 60, 100 young people for a program of at least 1 year. At the moment, we don't know if it could be enough or not, but we hope so. At least 1 year with experience both in class and both by the factory. In order to let them to get practice, no, in this kind of activities, leather goods, but also ready to wear, and shoes, of course. Because at the moment, the school orientation in Italy, no, is not so, let me say, technical, no, but just general culture. Now, we agree that general culture is very important, especially if you want to move your activity to higher level of quality, no? Because higher level of quality implies a knowledge, a culture, no? Especially for the products that we are providing that are based on style, no? And style is something strictly related with culture, no? We consider also a very important relation with art, in order to develop the style that we add to our products. This school is not for employees, it's just for students that we have to, let me say, compensate for the time that they spend in order to maintain their presence by us. But at the end of this period, we think that we could hire, no, a majority of them or a big part of them, but they are free, no, to go back maybe to back home, no, in another country, in south of Italy, in north of Italy, and to work for other companies.
Thank you. We have another two questions now.
Yes.
From the back and one from the front. Please, could you introduce yourself very short, that everybody knows who is asking?
I know the lady.
Yes.
I know that you know that.
Mr. Mazzi, thank you for your introduction, and I want to ask you, what is your opinion on an international company and the European tax regulation? What do you think about the comments that were recently in the press? Well, I'm from Luxembourg, so perhaps you understand my question.
Yeah.
Are you based where you pay taxes, or are you not paying taxes where you are based? How is this problem?
Mm-hmm. There is an answer, but it's just in Italian. I'm not able to translate. No, maybe my friend Mr. Rutelli could help me. No? Non si parla di corda in casa dell'impiccato. But no, your issue is very delicate, especially for our recent experience. No, for the problem of regulation and tax regulation among different countries is a big problem today because the market is global. No, this is the point, and it is not a choice of a single firm, a single person. The market is global. So this is a question very important, I suppose, also for government, no? Because there are little countries that are not able to do anything for their finance, for their economy, because they are maybe more little than a single firm. But from a company point of view, an international company that has to organize the market on international basis, the differences in tax regulation are a very big problem, no? Because, of course, a firm try to maximize, no, their result and to reduce each cost, and tax are, at the end of the day, a cost. At the same time, countries try to compete against other countries that offer a better condition with some constraints, really constraints. They deny the possibility to establish, no, our holding in Luxembourg, for instance, because they say that is a false holding. The holding is not a Luxembourg one, it's just, from me, an Italian one, because Italians are the shareholders, and the shareholders establish what the policy and the program of this company. So this company is Italian. In this way, you are in a very uncomfortable condition, no? To balance the situation. Do I am Luxembourg or do I am Italian? In this moment, I have to pay tax both in Luxembourg and Italy. But I repeat, market is speedier than people. So I think that one of the important issue in the next years for the governments are to regulate, no, the international trading and the international financial regulation, because it's true that we have at the moment many interesting economic trade, international trade organization, international trade agreements, but we have not international tax agreement. This is very important. And this is not simply let me say, a tricky problem for Luxembourg that could be penalized by this new approach, but is a real, this is the point, is a real problem for each country, because if I don't, Italy, for instance, if I don't accept that Italian, originally Italian multinational companies is allowed to put their organization abroad, at the end, what happened? That the Italian international companies move totally from Italy. So now we can impact Luxembourg, but tomorrow will impact Italy or another country. I don't know if...
So thank you. We will have a last question.
Last question.
I think also diversity is part of freedom, normally, also in tax systems.
Yeah.
So it's your part.
Am I allowed two questions?
Please introduce yourself. Short question. Too short. Introduce yourself.
Can I stay seated or have I stand?
As you like.
First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Supachai Kamchakri. I am a former Director General of the World Trade Organization you just referred to. former Director General. And I'm former Secretary General of the UN Conference on Trade Development. I have two questions. I try to formulate it briefly.
Yeah.
I'll be a little bit blunt, so I hope our friends from Europe in this room would not mind my question. The first question that I would like to put to you, Mr. Mazzi, is that in spite of all the integrative efforts of the European Union in Europe, it seems to me that the cultural divide between some parts of Europe, northern part of Europe, let me be frank, northern part of Europe and southern part of Europe, where Italy belongs, seems to still be a big wedge. I see the kind of policies that would have to resolve the economic crisis that is still ongoing in Europe, in spite of the world coming out of the Great Recession from 2008 to 2009, that is a matter of political paralysis within the European Union. There is a deep conviction in Germany that people must be austere in their fiscal policy, while the southern part of Europe will need more stimulus. For example, Italy. The recent stress test of the banks in Europe has shown us that the financial institutions in the southern part of Europe fared worse. I'm sorry to say, Italy, 9 banks fared worse. They have capital below the level that should be allowed by the BIS, Bank of International Settlement. So my first question is this: how can
No, but here.
is it on? Sorry. Yes. Oh, now you can hear. Now, how can we bridge this cultural gap in Europe? Let me say this really, this financial culture. There are different kinds of culture. The financial culture are just so different in so many parts of Europe that that would be, nearly well-nigh impossible task to bridge the way supervision of banks in the northern part of Europe and the banks in the southern part of Europe will have to follow the same rules. So austerity or stimulus in Europe. Europe cannot decide today. I mean, Europe is not slowly, it's quickly going down the drain in terms of the economic recovery. This is sad for the whole world, sad for Europe certainly, but this is my first question. How can we bridge that? The second question is about Prada Group. When I travel around the world, I saw Prada shops around the world. Prada shops in Asia, full with people, full with customers. Shops of Prada elsewhere in the world, particularly in Europe, not so full with people. My question is this, I mean, how can we together between Europe and Asia, and maybe Asia and the rest of the world, work together so that the kind of demand deflation that we are seeing in the world, which is not really caused in Asia, but caused in the rest of the world, can be remedied? Because the demand expansion in Asia is going on quite well because of the larger and expanding group of middle income earners in Asia, and the rate of growth that has been maintained around 5 to 6% in Asia, while in Europe it's just below 1%. So how can we work together so that we can maintain the kind of demand expansion that will be good for the whole world? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could you try to answer briefly?
The first question of Europe, of financial system in Europe is maybe not my task, because I'm just a simple businessman. But having said that, I can just repeat that the firm approach is international. No? So we hope that the cooperation all over the world could improve in order to establish the best condition for business, the best condition for work. Business maybe is a word that can have a meaning not so noble, but work is acceptable for everybody. No? So we hope the best condition for develop of work of everyone, and from this point of view, our position is that we don't understand this uncertainty into Europe, no? And this uncertainty and this, let me say, inefficiency of the Europe is for me, in my opinion, is because the politician integration is not enough. No, we can't manage just financial integration without politician integration. No. So, of course, the situation of South and North Italy is the situation, in South or North Europe is the situation of South and North Italy, no? Because in Italy there is the same problem if you go inside. Today there are a lot of protests, no, by group of people, by regions, no, against the unification of Europe. I don't agree, I don't understand. I think that the advantage that you can catch in short time with division, no, are disadvantage in medium and long term. No? And the second question, the difference in Asia and in Europe is, first of all, in this moment caused by economic situation that in Europe we have a depressed situation. And in Europe, the second problem is that our products are mainly destined to tourists, no? Also internal tourists. But you know that in this moment, for the currency reason of euro so expensive, a little bit less in the last days, the tourist flow from Asia had moved to US. or internally in Asia itself. So the difference in the result and the flow of a customer is based mainly on this point. And another point is, let me tell a little story in order to conclude my presence, is that 2 months ago I went to visit Iran, a country that I love. And I was surprised seeing how many people, how many shops they have in the same street for domestic machines. They are one domestic machine shops every 200 meters, full of customers. But the reason is simple, no? Because this country is in the first experience, in the first moment, they have the possibility to buy domestic machine they don't have still now. So this is not the case of Asia for luxury product, but the problem is that China, for instance, and other countries in Asia are experience, for the first time this kind of products, because till some decades ago there are no the possibilities to export these products there. There are no the possibility to establish a network. Now we are establishing a network. For them is very new and is more attractive by definition. I don't know if this is a satisfactory request.
Thank you, Mr. Mazza. When I'm not wrong, yes, your applause first.
No, please. No.
For me, it seems that you would be able now to show the 5 pictures you want to show about your enterprise.
There are just the picture with the count, with the. Okay, but these are. These are pictures in order to. It's finished? No. Okay. Picture of our products. This is a pictures. Of our shops, of our manufacturing activities, and these are, our advertising activities, but this is another, in order to answer, another activity. This is the museum in Venice that the Prada Foundation is managing. And the only maybe picture that I wanted to show is our turnover, total revenues, 3.5 billion, and total employees, 11,800 people all over the world. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.